Welcome, 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 everyone. It is great to see you all today. A lovely Tuesday. When you change your mind, when you change your mind, your perspective changes. You know, Dr. Wayne Dyer has this thing he used to say: when you change your mind, the things you look at will change. I think that's pretty much well the gist of it, to paraphrase. The reason being, I was speaking with someone yesterday, and they said to me, Angela, really and truly, when I sit and I think about it now, all I did was change my mind. That's what they said. All I did was change my mind. And I was like, now you're getting it. You see, sometimes when we look at the same situation for a long time, when we look at our situation for a long time, it can become a little bit upsetting. But if we can get our minds around the fact that it is happening inside of your mind and you are projecting it outward like a movie on the screen, if we can get that part, then the things that we see going on outside of ourselves would stop overwhelming us. Why? Because you would know that what you are looking at is a projection. And it has to be projected back to you. That is the law. It is correspondence, as within, so without. And so when you see that projection playing out, you look at it and you say, oh, wait a minute, I can't change this. You change the reel. You change the reel on the projector. In movie theaters, they have this giant reel of film. That's what you change. So changing your mind, if we can grasp changing the mind, when you are changing your mind, it means you have acknowledged where you are. You're not judging it. Because remember, if you don't like the movie that is playing, throwing popcorn at the screen doesn't change the movie. It just means that you've allowed the movie to upset you. When in actuality, that's not what you want. You want to enjoy the movie. Listen, you want to participate. This is what life is. You want to participate. So when you are looking at that screen and you say, oh, that's what I'm doing, that's what you're doing. Not because you're ignorant, not because you're foolish, none of those things. You're doing it because that is what we all do. It is law. We are constantly projecting the images from within ourselves towards the outside so that we can have the corresponding experience. So when you change your mind, right? When you change your mind, that experience will correspond to the change that you have now initiated. So here's a little thing for you. When you catch yourself projecting whatever attitude it is that you have and you don't like it, simply whisper to yourself, change initiated. Whisper it, change initiated. Whisper it to yourself. Why? One, it may make you giggle. And when it makes you giggle, now you can say things to yourself like, oh, well, who's changing? And you say, I'm changing my mind. It builds your confidence because it puts you in a place of living in the end, and it puts you in a place of calm Why would it put you in a place of calm and peace? Because you know that the image on the outside is but a shadow. But it is you in front of the light making the little hand puppets. You. That's, you can make the hand puppet of the dog or the giraffe or the bird. You turn on the light on your phone and point it to the ceiling. Turn on the light on your phone and point it to the ceiling. Put your hands in front of that light and you will make shadow puppets. When you change your motion of your hands, you change the design on the ceiling. That is how we live life. That is simply how we live our lives. So today, look at those little shadow puppets you are making. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Well, then remember, it is you who is shaping your hands and casting the shadow outward. So when you change your mind, you're changing the shape of the experience that you have. Now, does it require force for you to change the shape of your hands? No, it simply requires the imagination. What do you want it to be? Well, then, as soon as you decide what you want it to be, you change the shape of that hand puppet on the ceiling, the reflection of it. That's what you've done. And when you look at the thing, the new shape that has just taken shape on the ceiling, you say, oh, I did it. You see, when you do that, oh, but Angela, you make it seem so simple. But it is that simple. How do you maintain the shape on the ceiling? By maintaining the shape of your hands. But the hands have taken shape according to your mind, according to what you wanted to put up there. That's what makes the shape remain, your consistent shape of your imagination, and the hands is what keeps the shape on the ceiling consistent. So that's why when you want to change, initiated, when you want to change, you must first decide what you want to change from, because you're looking at it. What do you want to change from? You see, the message never changes, does it? The law remains consistently the same. The story I tell you may change. So today, somebody said to me, my glass is half full. I'm seeing it half full. I will respond with this: quiet contentment. You see, we think contentment has to do with being satisfied with our present situation, when in actuality, contentment has to do with the fact that you know the law is always applied in the same way every time. Which means you don't have to force it, you don't have to fret, you don't have to worry, you don't have to complain. You are content in the fact that the law is predictable. The law has a rhythm that you deliberately apply. You are content with the law. Think about what it does, because it is so predictable. Peace of mind. This is the beauty of the law. Day in and day out, your contentment with the law simply is, the law works every time. And you are at peace with that simple piece of knowledge. The law works every single time. That is what you know. And that is why you can be content. Does that make sense? So today, when you change your mind, do so with confidence, knowing that if you stay faithful to the image, to the outcome, to the end will bring about the unfoldment. The end, remember, is the effect. And if you know the effect, well, you will bring about the cause. So, is there a reason for you to fret? No. There's no reason for you to fret. There's no time to fret. You're busy applying the law deliberately. That is what we are doing. Deliberately applying the law. That's what you're doing when you change your mind. You are deliberately applying the law. Next time you sing ABBA, you'll know what I'm talking about. So today, be encouraged that whatever your situation may be, so long as you deem it, you look at it and you say, this is undesirable. No more. This is not how I want to live my life. Or you can say, this is nice, but you know what? I'd be curious to see how this experience would be. You don't always have to be dissatisfied. You could also be curious. Because whatever it is, apply the law deliberately. Step one, look at where you are and what you're doing. That is the law of polarity. And when you do that, you are now going to decide where you want to be and what you want to be doing. Pen and paper is always handy, or pencil, eraser, and paper. And you write it down. And when you write it down where you want to be and what you want to be doing, it is going to be accompanied by a particular attitude, a particular mood. Your body has to correspond. You know, the thing you say, well, this is what I'm creating. And if your body feels excitement, ooh, this is nice, let's get it started. Let's get it started and hit right. And your body says, let's get it done. And you feel good about it. And from that feeling good, there's a short scene that will come into your mind because this is how we talk to ourselves. That first person you're going to say, oh my God, let me tell you what I did. Or they see you and they say, oh, what? You did that? That's amazing. How did you do it? And you begin to tell them the story of how you did it. You see, we are always telling stories. So now when you tell this new story, tell them how you did it. You say, girl, or dude, let me tell you, let me break it down for you. I was frustrated or I was curious about where I was, but I wanted to change something. I wanted to change my mind. And so I said, what do I want to do instead? And I said, well, you know what? I wonder what it would be like if this thing happened. And let me tell you, I began to play it over and over in my head. And funny that you should come along and say something because I heard you say the exact same thing. We are already playing out that image and that role in our minds. Just like if you argue with that person in your mind, you're playing it out. You are rehearsing. You are rehearsing how you will behave. And in due time, you will have to behave in said fashion. So would it not stand to reason to practice the thing you actually want to do? Yes. That's how you do it. Step one, identify where you are and what you're doing. Step two, define where you want to be and what you want to be doing. Step three, there's a small scene that will confirm it. A simple phrase that will bring relief to you. Because remember, now you're making room for the harvest that you're bringing in. That's what you're doing when you rehearse. And a very simple scene that says, whew, I'm glad that's done. or you're telling that story. Step 4. When you get up, that is the story you tell yourself. When you go to bed, that is the story you tell yourself. When you find yourself sitting on the potty, that is the story you tell yourself. You notice in there's no contradiction. There's no, but what if it doesn't happen? Why is it taking so long? Man, you got to be lucky. All right. You see that doubt? Remember what doubt is. Doubt is simply your body telling you what you already believe about the image you hold. That's what doubt is. So now to get doubt in check, what is the sensation you want to have instead? Begin to feel that instead. Because now you're telling your body, this is the new thing we're doing. And the more you practice, because they tell you to live as if. But if you say, but Angela, I don't have any money, how can I live as if I'm wealthy? Do you think living as if you were wealthy has to do with the money alone? No, it has to do with your attitude. How would you be behaving if you were wealthy? Would you look at new investments? Oh, I'm sure you would. Would you be looking at ways to maximize what you have? Yes, you would. Would you be looking for new opportunities? Yes, you would. So now your new attitude has to be one. This is why you change your mind. You change your mind from constantly telling yourself, I don't have enough. And you change your mind day in and day out with the attitude and the scenarios of what it feels like to have enough. But Angela, I've never had enough, so I can't possibly tell you how that feels. You know what being relieved feels like. You know what it is to say, you know what that is. We've all had that experience at some point in our lives. Go back to that one. You don't have to relive the experience, but what you do is bring up the sensation that it invoked within you. Change the attitude of your mind. Because when you change the attitude of your mind, you begin to change the response in your body. And when you change the response in your body, you are now doing what? Molding and shaping the experience. Remember, when you're making the shadow puppets on the ceiling, what are you doing? Changing your body, changing the shape of your hands. That's what you're doing. So now when you do those 4 things, you get peace of mind. You're not walking around hoping it happens. You're walking around knowing that it is done because you have planted the seeds. And the only thing to do when you plant the seed is to make sure that you water it, that you pluck the weeds. How do you do that? The way you speak to yourself. Oh man, this is never going to happen. You got to be lucky. Oh, I've tried to change, but I always end up being the same. I'm done trying. I give up. That's like pouring vinegar on your plants that you have out in the back. That's not how we roll around here with the law. If you catch yourself doing that, remind yourself, hey, whoa, slow your roll, girl. What does the law say? What does the law say? The law says, I have no choice but to reap what I've sown. So let me find a way to nurture. You nurture the thoughts in your mind. You nurture the end result by replaying it over and over in your mind, speaking to that little part of you, telling your body, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, and you show it over and over and over again. That is what we do. We do it day in and day out. And that is what will cause us to change our minds when we look at the glass and say, ah, it is half full. That's what will happen. That's how you'll change your mind. You see, we think changing the mind is difficult, when in actuality, it requires consistency and persistence. Being consistent means to do the same thing the same way every time. Sounds like a habit. But being persistent means, I really don't know if this is going to work, I feel like, I feel. In spite of how you feel, you go back and you remind yourself that if I hold the image by way of the way I speak to myself, the way I think, the way I act, my attitude, even if I don't see the evidence outside right away, I continue. That is persistence. That's the effort required. That is the effort required to stay polarized in the desired area you said you wanted to be in. And when you stay there, a bridge, a pathway begins to open up before you. Why? Because you've heard, where there is a will, there is a way. What is the will? Where there is an intention to do something, a way is opened so that you can do it. Don't ask me how the way opens. I don't know how it opens, as to say, how do the roots pop out of the seed? I don't know how it does it. But I do know that it does do it by way of law. It would have to be vibration, I'll tell you that. Because the law of vibration is telling us everything is moving. So you see, when you put that seed in the ground and you put the dirt on it and you sprinkle it with water, those things cause, remember the law of causation, cause and effect. But they would have to be changing the vibration. That seed is now beginning to move in a particular way because it has the necessary components to create the change. And so the roots bust out on the other end in the darkness. So you see, my beautiful friends, simply change your mind. Then you do that, you will see the outside change to match. We call it coincidence. We call it synchronicities. But no, it is correspondence. As within, so without, as above, so below. That is what we actually call it. But if you don't sustain, if you don't hold it, because that's what it means to sustain for those of you who play piano or guitar, you have a sustain pedal. It holds the note. It prolongs the note. So wherever you have put your attention, that experience will be sustained in your life. You're holding the pedal on it. Sooner or later, you're going to have to let go of the pedal because everything moves and it changes from where it is to where it is going. So you see, today, change your mind. There's nothing to be afraid of when you change your mind. You are the one initiating the changing of your mind. Change, initiated. That's what you're doing. So you know exactly how it's going to turn out. How do you know? Because you are sustaining the change, the image, the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you act. You are holding that thing, that new attitude, and saying, this is who I am now. This is who I am now. Not tomorrow, now. Now, 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 now. Kung Fu Panda, I digress. But that's what you're doing. And so long as you sustain that new attitude now, well, then, the exterior will change to correspond to the change that you have made on the inside. But if you do not make that change on the inside, how can it be shown to you on the outside? Because you must always see where you are. That is the grace of the law, you understand? The grace of the law is always going to show you where you are and what you are doing so that you can decide if that is where you want to be. So if you find yourself always in the same situation, Lord Jesus, help me, glass house, y'all. If you find yourself always in the same situation, well, then you are doing the same thing on the inside. Because remember, the shadow puppet on the ceiling, if you make the bird with your hands, that's what you'll see up there. But change to the giraffe. All you've done was change the shape of your hands, and the shape on the ceiling changes. So when you change your mind, the shape of the world around you changes. But you notice George didn't change. George cannot change to influence your shadow figures. You have to change. You are the one who has to change. You have to change your attitude, your inner conversations, the way you speak and carry on yourself. You must change that. When I say must, I mean it. I don't like to tell you what to do. But if the change does not occur inside, how can it fulfill? You reap what you have sown. It must always fulfill. You reap what you sow. So you must plant the new seed within your mind so that you can reap the new harvest in the experience on the outside. Change your attitude, which is mental. Your attitude is mental. Your attitude is mental. And how do you know? Because you see it in your behavior. But the all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. So in order to change your world, you must change your mind. As simple as that. The law was not created so it could cause confusion. The law is there to bring about order, to bring about peace, to bring about what? Peace of mind, predictability. The law is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Why? Because when you know that it is predictable, you can take it to the bank. You are sure of it. That's how you can sit there with confidence and know that when you plant basil in the yard, you can only pick basil. So if you can do it with your plants, you can also do it with your mind. The same way you're going to sprinkle the water on your plants. Well, then what are you sprinkling? In your mind. And here's the funny thing. We have a saying in Barbados that says you can hide and buy land, but you can't hide and work it. You can hide and buy land, but you cannot hide and work it. I wonder why that is. Because the things that you do inside your mind cause you to act. The thing you do inside your mind that appears to be a secret causes you to behave in a particular way. That is why the saying exists that all things come to light. So, today, my beautiful friends, change your mind. In order to change your mind, you must know where it is currently. You have to know where it is so that you can decide where you want to put it. Polarization, in effect. You've got to polarize your mind. Polarize your mind. I can't tell you how to polarize your mind. I don't know what you like and what you don't like. That is you. So you see, in order to change, you must know who you are. And to learn who you are, you observe the way you think and you observe the way you behave. That'll show you in no time at all who you are. Let's take a moment, shall we, to welcome everyone into the space today. And because the iPad is right in front of me, let me open my eyes. YouTube and Facebook. Who's here? Indies on Facebook. YouTube. Hey, Angel Spills. Sugar Visions. A Not. Goddess Pure Diamond. The Better Man. And Joaquin. Welcome. Thank you for making yourselves known in the chat. For all the others who've not made yourselves known in the chat, I see you. I know you're there. Twitter. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Tiffany. And hey, Sina Solana. I think I'm saying it right. Welcome to the space. You know it is absolutely amazing to see you all here. Fan base. Let me pull back. Let me see the screen. Who's here? We have Hello, Marcus. I see you, darling. Coach, Comrade, Adora, King B, Summer Rose, My Melanin, Miss McQueen, Ali, Oracle Treehouse, Zola, Yolanda. I see you all. Welcome to the space, my beautiful friends. Remember today that when you change your mind, your outward experiences must change to correspond. But it has to start as within, so without. As above, in the mind, so below, in the body. Right? This is law. This is law. And we live by way of law day in and day out. But you see what the law wants you to do? The law encourages you to be deliberate. The law encourages us to be deliberate. Deliberate? Yes. What do you want to change your mind to? As opposed to allowing the rest of the world. Think about this. If you are the one changing your world around you, George down the street is doing the exact same thing, changing his world from inside of his mind. And those two shadows must come into contact with each other. Why? Because George is only one of 8 billion. You are one of 8 billion. I am one of 8 billion. And so when these images interact with each other, you understand, a funny thing happens. Depending on how you see the world, the image that George is projecting can ruffle your feathers a little bit. Or the image that you are projecting could cause George to say, "Hey girl, how you doing?" You see, we interact with these projections on a daily basis. But remember, the projection is only showing you who the projector is. So if you come across somebody that wants to cuss you out and tell you about your mama and drag you and call you out your name, that's their projection. It is not who you are. It is who they are telling you they are. So we have two choices. You can recognize that you're dealing with a projection, or you can fully interact with that projection and waste your energy shadowboxing. Oh, yeah, even though the person across from you is as real as if you pinched them and they go, ah, yikes, because you've pinched them. Oh, yeah, they're real. And so are you. But the image is a shadow being cast from the inside of their minds. That's why we interact with people. So if your projection is similar or matches to another projection that's out there, that's how you become friends. Based upon the projections, based upon the things you have in common. Why? Because of who you say you are. That's all we're ever doing. So that's why it's important. You want to make friends? Who are you? Because that is the image you will project outward. And so somebody else will see that image and go, oh my God, we like totally have so much in common. Because they know who they are and what they like, and you know who you are and what you like. That's now how come y'all can be friends. You know, you resonate. But if you meet someone and their projection makes you go, I don't like you. Ah, there's something within you that does not sit well with that. And that's why it seems repulsive. It pushes you away. Discord. So you see, it is who you are that determines what you like and what you don't like. You, not me. I like peppermint candy ice cream. Shoot, I love it. Don't tell me I have to wait till Christmas. Ugh. Now I want to make it and eat it whenever I want. Because I like it. But something, I like it because cause and effect. I don't remember why I like it. I just know that I do. That's the effect. So the things that you like and the things that you don't like are effects. They have been caused by something. And that is why you can change your mind and thereby change what you like and what you don't like by changing your mind. That is the word today. Hey, Geck. That's the word. Brian. Hey, sweetie. You better scratch Oscar behind the ears for me today. But you get it, right? Be emboldened today to change your attitude because that is the only thing you've got to change. And when you change your attitude, the world outside of you is going to what? Correspond. As within, so without. Don't get mad at it. Remember, it's a shadow. Remember shadow puppets? Change the shape. Your brain literally changes its shape. They have a fancy word called for it. Neuroplasticity. Neuro meaning of the brain. Plasticity meaning malleable. You can shape it. Why can you shape it? Because remember, they used to tell you you can't teach an old dog new tricks. If you're old, the mind is already set. You can't change. Remember, they used to say that? But here's the law of vibration. It tells you everything is moving, nothing stands still. So you know that your brain is moving. And it will take the shape of what you tell it to. How does it do that? By you learning something new. When you learn a new thing, you shape the mind. So when you shape the mind, you shape the behavior. It is law. It is law. I am not a scientist. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I can sit here and tell you what the law says. And so that's how come I can say, well, I don't like my attitude. What do I want to be instead? And I find the displeasing thing, the thorn, and I say, pluck it out. What do I want to be instead? And I begin to behave in that fashion and speak to myself in that fashion. And I don't look at my new behavior and say, oh my God, that's so hard to do. The only reason why the old way was easy is because habitually you did it the same way every time. That's why it became second nature. So, what's that telling you? It is telling you that any behavior you practice the same way every time will become second nature. So, what must you be? Consistent. You see how easy change is? Oh, yes, indeed, change is easy. But we muddy the water when we get our emotions. Just emotions taking me over. When we do that, when we allow our emotions to cloud our mind, that's when we look at it and go, that's too hard. I don't have time for that. And you remain the same. And when you remain the same, you remain in that same displeasurable place. And you say, I don't like it here. Well, then allow the emotion to tell you what your behavior is. It's telling you, hey, come on, let's have some discipline. And so you say, I set down this old behavior. I shaped my brain. And I know how to shape my brain. I will do a new behavior over and over and over again until I can do it with one hand behind my back, do it with my eyes closed. See what that does to your confidence? Do you see what that does to your self esteem? It shows you that you have the capacity to change. And what are you changing? You're changing your mind. Because when you change your mind, change what you are aware of being. When I say mind, that's what I'm talking about, your awareness. What are you aware of being? What attitude are you aware of that you have? That's the mind. But the brain now is shaped by the new behavior. You set down a neural pathway. Hear it. Where there is a will, there is a way. Where there is your intention to learn and you practice that intention, now you set down a new pathway inside the brain. Where there is a will, there is a way. So if you want to change, find the new behavior that you want to do and begin to do it now. Oh, but nothing is changing. Oh, really? Your brain says otherwise. You are changing your brain. Not just your brain, but the brain pattern, the brain wave. Your who? Your vibration. So, see, we want to wait for science. But science is the effect because you can see it. You can run a whole bunch of tests and you can see the effects. But what are you seeing the effect of? The change in your mind is the cause. So you see, we are never stuck, ever. The law of vibration tells you you're never stuck. It tells you everything is moving, nothing stands still. So if you feel stuck, it means you're doing the same thing the same way every time. So it looks like you're stuck. Nah, you're just doing it the same way. But if you want to get quote unquote unstuck, do a new behavior in the new way every time. And you will say, Oh my God, my life has changed. That's what you'll say. And all you did was change your mind. Agnieszka, I see you, beautiful. Hello, Trinity. I see you all. Now, let's get the bowl. I didn't see Cyber this morning. I trust today that it makes sense to you. And now that when you look in the mirror, you will do so with boldness and say, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I don't like that. So I want to do this. And you will begin to do it now. Because when you plant now, there's that candy called now and later. You plant now, you enjoy your harvest later because everything has its time of presentation, its rhythm. My mother told me recently she planted something and it takes about 60 days. Rhythm. It takes 60 days for that thing that she planted to come to maturity. So you see, everything has a rhythm. That's why we want to call it a future. SpongeBob. Call it a future. But it's just now. It's just that rhythm. It swings. And it swings beautifully. And in due rhythm, you will reap your harvest. That's what it will do. You think because you see your little sapling out there in the yard and, oh, look, there's no peas yet, you just pull it up out of frustration? No, you keep watering it and talking to it. And you watch the blossoms and you watch it go through every single stage until such time you pluck that sweet pea and you eat it. Mhm. Indeed. So, whatever change it is that you say you want to experience, stay faithful to the change. Stay faithful to the change. Stay faithful to the change because you are it. That's what they tell you. Be the change you want to see in the world. Now, do you comprehend how you become that change that you see in the world? By changing your mind, aka your attitude in your brain, the way you see yourself, the way you behave. Change it. That's how come you don't necessarily have to have that fat wad of cash in the bank just yet. But if you change the attitude and your behavior, then you know a funny thing happens. The money has to show up. Why? Because you planted it and it shows up. You get an idea. You'll start getting more clients. You find that you'll be in the right place at the right time. And then all of a sudden you look at it and go, oh my God, I have money. Really? You always had it. But if you don't have it on the inside, if you're not the one shaping the attitude, how can you reap it? But hey, don't let me preach. Let's get the bowl. Let me make sure all the volumes are up. Let's hit that bowl. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. Jeff, Tiffany, Solana, thank you for being here on Twitter. I love you all. Much love to you. 1. Twitter is closed. YouTube, I love you all. And I will see you soon. Much love.